What is up, weather enthusiasts? I'm your host, Pat's Path Predictor. Let's get right into the weather. Alright, so here's the situation we have for you, ladies and gentlemen. We have a rapidly developing situation going on in the Bay of Campeche in the Gulf of Mexico right here. This whole blob of convection right here is Invest 91L. It is rapidly organizing and rapidly developing. As we continue to speak, it's developing a lot faster than a lot of people anticipated right there. So we're going to go ahead and go over everything that we have right here. We also have this area of interest that is off the coast of the Bahamas over here. We're going to talk a little bit about that, but my main focus in today's video is going to be pretty much this area of interest because it poses a greater threat to land, because we've been seeing a lot of uptrends with the models. I've been saying for days this looks like a hurricane contender, and based off what we're seeing with this, as well as the hurricane hunters, yeah, it definitely looks like my statements are being backed up as of right now. But before we get into that, let's go ahead and look at what the SPC is posting right here. Satellite and surface observations indicate that a broad area of low pressure is located over the Bay of Campeche, with winds of 35 to 40 miles per hour occurring in an area well to the northeast of the center over the southeastern Gulf of Mexico. Environmental conditions appear conducive for gradual development, and a tropical depression or tropical storm is likely to form by midweek, while the low moves slowly west-northwestward towards the western Gulf Coast. Interests along the western and northwestern Gulf coasts should monitor the progress of the system, as tropical storm watches and warnings may be required for portions of this area later this afternoon or tonight. A Air Force Hurricane Hunter aircraft reserve is currently en route to investigate the system. 70% chance of formation in the next 48 hours. It was 30 last time we talked about this yesterday, and formation chance the next 7 days is holding at 70% as of right now. So this is a big situation that we are uncovering right here. Hurricane hunters are out there. They're finding a lot of stuff. We'll go ahead and show you that in just a minute. But here's this area of interest right here. An area of cloudiness and thunderstorms located several hundred miles east of the Bahamas is associated with a surface trough and a low-level area of upper level area of low pressure. Excuse me. Environmental conditions could be conducive for some development. The system is forecast to approach the United States coast on Thursday or Friday. So we're going to have to take a very close eye on it. Right now, it looks like the three main states it's going to be affecting are Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina, although I think North Carolina could be an interesting situation right there. But here's what we have going on as of right now with the hurricane hunters in Invest 91L. Let's go ahead and do that right here. Let's go ahead and show you what we're potentially looking at. From what we've been seeing as of recently, we've been seeing extrapolated pressure values that have been below 1,000 millibars. We're already down to around 999 millibars based on extrapolated pressure alone. So that's something to take a look at. Here's what we have right here. This is one of the dropsons they put out. This is what hit the surface, I believe, right here. We're about 1,000 millibars right here. North-northwest winds around 14 knots, which is about 16 miles per hour right there. So definitely supports that 999 millibar system over there. This is because typically what you do is essentially you take the pressure you have on the left, and essentially you take the wind on the right, and for every 10 knots of wind that there is, you essentially reduce that by 1 millibar of pressure. So that's what you have going on right there. So this is going to be an interesting setup. They're currently investigating as of right now. We got to pay close attention to this right there. They're definitely trying to find if there's a closed low in this system or not. Let's go. We can go ahead and kind of take a look at the satellite imagery while I am talking about this. Here's the true color right there. Yeah, this is definitely organizing and quickly developing right there based on the true satellite imagery as well. Infrared has also been very helpful with this as well. I've been looking at this since last night, and I was like, hey, there's a lot of convection firing up right now. We got to pay close attention to this right here. This looks like it's starting to outperform, and sure enough, it definitely has been outperforming as of recently. So we're already seeing a system around 999 millibars or so in some parts of the system right here, which we were expecting around 1,002, 1,003 millibars for this afternoon, and this thing was expected to slowly organize and develop. That's not happening right now. This is developing a lot faster than people are thinking it is, and I'm raising the red flags when it comes to this. So what's causing this rapid development, and what is causing all of these things this convection and all this organization to flare up so fast. Here's what we have right here. Global sea surface temperatures right here, we're already in the 30 plus degrees Celsius or 86 plus degree Fahrenheit temperature range where this is at right there. This is going to persist all the way up until landfall. There's no going around it. This is what we're going to be seeing all the way up until there at this point. This is very warm water. This continues to be very warm water. And this water also goes down relatively deep based off the ocean heat content values, which are cracking 100 in some areas of the Bay of Campeche and Gulf of Mexico right now. Essentially, how this is measured is you take how hot the water is at the surface and measure how deep it is into it. The higher the OHC value, the deeper that warm water is. And essentially, it's kind of like a gas tank. And the more OHC you have, the more fuel you will have to drive the possible explosive or rapid intensification values right there. So that's why I'm so concerned about this right now. And what this is telling me is there's plenty of fuel in the tank for this thing to rapidly organize and rapidly develop if we are basing this on its own. Another factor to pay attention to is the wind shear right here. Wind shear has been pretty interesting to take a look at. Where the center is, it's in a pocket of low wind shear, but there is a lot of higher wind shear values, around 40 to 50 knots on parts of the Gulf of Mexico over here. In many cases, that would be really bad for the system, and it would allow for the shear to tear it apart. Not in this case, because what this is doing is it's essentially allowing for the outflow, because it's far enough away, it's allowing for the outflow to ventilate a lot more and allowing for that pressure gradient to really tighten up, which is part of the reason why we're already seeing a lower pressure value than what we were anticipating at this current point. Like I said, we were looking at 1,002, 1,003. This thing would have just came off the Yucatan Peninsula into the Bay of Campeche. No one really expects this to develop that fast, right? Well, I've been paying attention to this, and I was like saying, hey, we got to pay very close attention to this right now. So that's what we are dealing with right now. We're going to go ahead and show you the track models and the intensity models that we have pulled up for you right here. Track models, as of right now, want the system to make landfall in northwestern Mexico right now, although the H-WRF has it close, less than 100 miles away from the U.S.-Mexico border in Texas over there. The rest of the models want this thing to make landfall in Mexico, so we're going to have to pay very close attention to that. Regardless, you are still going to get very heavy rainfall across much of Texas, across much of Mexico if you're tuning in, so you're going to have to pay very close attention to South Texas especially. We're looking at rainfall values maybe around 10 plus inches in some areas. Yeah, that's not going to be the most fantastic thing for you guys to deal with, and this is going to be a very slow mover as well as this thing makes landfall. This is going to be sitting over the Gulf of Mexico for the next 2.5 days. I forgot to mention this right here, right there. But this is going to be sitting over the Gulf for the next 2.5 days. This thing is not moving very fast. It's going to be moving very slow, and it's going to be allowing for this thing to organize and strengthen right there. And speaking of strengthening, this is what we have with the intensity models. 12 of the intensity models had this thing around a weak, maybe moderate tropical storm, with a lot of the models still holding it at tropical depression strength. Now we're looking at a possibly moderate to strong tropical storm right there, according to a lot of these models right here. Matter of fact, I forgot to mention this, but Invest 91L is already at 35 knots, which is 40 miles per hour. That's tropical storm strength, and that's based off of the observations we are seeing, as well as the Hurricane Hunter aircraft that are out there investigating the system right now. So what we're looking at this current point in time is and the NHC is absolutely right with this, and considering these winds right there, I would not be surprised if they put out a potential tropical cyclone as issuance right there. What essentially that means is, yes, it's still technically an invest, but it allows them to put watches and warnings out, like tropical storm watches, tropical storm warnings, and everything like that. And it allows for an NHC cone to come out and kind of map out the possible intensity with this. So that's what we're essentially looking at right there, and this is what these intensity guidance is based off of. We're getting pretty close to hurricane strength according to a couple of these models over there. I wouldn't be surprised if we looked at the 0Z forecast. We're looking at hurricane strength anticipated at this current point based on how quickly this is organizing, how quickly the pressure is sinking, and how rapidly we are going to potentially be intensifying right here. I'm not saying we're going to be rapidly intensifying, right there, but it's still always on the table. That is if this system continues to organize and develop at the current pace right here and right now. So now we're going to go ahead and show you some computer models that we have pulled up. I want to go ahead and start with the European, and I want to take a look at the shear and moisture forecast with this right here, because I think it's going to be a very important thing to kind of take a look at and see if these conditions will persist right here. So let's go ahead and show you that right here. Let's go ahead and show you the 250 to 200 to 850 millibar wind shear right here. Yeah, I expect this to fully continue right there. It's going to be that higher wind shear is going to kind of recede further to the north, and that lower wind shear is going to kind of take over in the Bay of Campeche and the Gulf of Mexico. But this higher wind shear value is going to stay far enough to the north to allow for that ventilation to continue and allow for that pressure gradient to continue to increase as well, and allow for an increase of organization with this tropical cyclone. So that's what we're taking a look at right there. That's going to persist for the next 2.5 days or so as the system starts to approach and make landfall in northwestern Mexico over there. The shear is not going to tear this apart. I really wish it would, because it's too early for a tropical storm, for a strong tropical storm, let alone a hurricane in this part of the country right there. But this is something that we're potentially taking a look at right here, and this is something that is absolutely a real possibility right now. So that's what we're seeing with the shear forecast. Let's go ahead and show you the moisture forecast right now. The moisture forecast is pretty interesting. The reason I'm showing this right here is I want to see if there's going to be any possible dry air intrusion that'll stop this thing from organizing and developing. Dry air is the killer of tropical cyclones. A little bit of dry air gets into the center of circulation. It has like 12 to 24 hours to either fight it out, or it'll start to collapse, it'll start to weaken, and eventually it'll be killed off. So moisture, we're not going to see that situation, unfortunately, right here. This moisture component to all of this is the moisture is going to be absolutely there throughout the entire time this thing is in the Gulf of Mexico. So that's what we're potentially taking a look at right here and right now. Now what I want to do for the rest of this is I want to kind of show you the hurricane models, because now we're starting to see some possible scenarios based off of these right here. We're seeing this for the first time right here, that we can pull up the hurricane models on the Pat's Path Predictor channel in 2024 right now. So let's go ahead and pull these up right here. Let's start with the H-Wharf. To give you some backstory, the H-Wharf is typically your most aggressive model out of the bunch right there, mainly because it just factors in the best case scenarios and everything like that. But the H-Wharf is typically your biggest model right here when it comes to aggressiveness. While the H-Wharf can go haywire sometimes, I still use it to kind of come up with an aggregate right here. H-Wharf is pretty interesting right here, has this organizing develops, gets down to a 995 millibar system, but overall, convection's not going to be wrapping around as much. Again, I don't entirely buy this model, but considering this was initiated at 7 o'clock this morning, this is going to take some time to iron out. This is a very quickly evolving situation. You can already see with the convection I showed you on the satellite, we're much further ahead of schedule. H-Wharf is pretty interesting, though. Wants this thing to make landfall in Texas right here, South Texas right, there's a 997, 996 millibar strong tropical storm or possibly weak hurricane as this thing moves through and brings very heavy rainfall to much of South Texas, including Corpus Christi, Brownsville, a lot of these areas, McAllen. So you're going to have to pay very close attention to that, because we're seeing rainfall values exceeding 10 inches in some areas, according to some of the forecasts I've been paying attention to. HMON is next. We're going to go ahead and show you that. HMON is usually one of the more moderate models, but in this case, it's not as much, because the HMON wants this down to a 993 millibar system 30 hours from now, which is approximately 24 hours from now, since it is currently about 2 o'clock in the afternoon at the time I'm recording this. So, yeah, this thing is really rapidly organizing, developing, strengthening. Makes landfall as a 976 millibar hurricane right there. If we go ahead and show you the main sea level winds right here, we're looking at high-end Category 1 strength at this current point in time, making landfall in Mexico. Again, this reminds me of like a setup of Hurricane Hannah that the HMON is forecasting right there. And based off of what I'm seeing with satellite, that definitely is a possibility now. Like 24 hours from now, I would have said, yeah, maybe a weak hurricane at best. I said it was a hurricane contender for the last few days or so, but I thought maybe 75, 80 if it really wants to push it that far. But now I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, we got to pay very close attention to this right now. we got to take this very seriously. So, yeah, that's what we're dealing with right now with the HMON. 976 millibar system making landfall in Mexico right there. Gotta take this very seriously. So the next model we're showing you is the HAVS A right here. HAVS A, we can go ahead and show you right there. The HAVS A, once it's around in the mid to low 990s right there as it's approaching land right there. It has it as a disorganized mess, but keep in mind this is going to take some time to iron out. This thing's organizing faster than a lot of people are anticipating. Next model we're showing you is the HAVS B right here. HAVS B is pretty interesting. Gets this down to the, once again, even the 980s millibars system at one point. That could possibly be a hurricane right there before it makes landfall in northeastern Mexico, close to Texas right there. Still going to produce some very heavy rainfall regardless of what happens right here. So this is all stuff we're going to have to pay attention to as we continue to get more data and all of that, and I will definitely keep you updated right then and there. But one last thing I want to talk to you guys about before I go is something is coming up. I posted this on Twitter right here. Here's what we have right here. 1 month from today is my 21st birthday. For my birthday, the only thing I want is 10,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel. This is a channel I've been working on for the last 3 years, and I've been wanting to continue that journey. Hashtag sub to predictor right here. So here's what I want you guys to do. I'm going to post this. This will be the top link in the description and everything like that below the video. What I want you guys to do if you have Twitter is I want you to like the tweet right here. I want you to repost this. And I want you to quote tweet and comment right here. Hashtag sub to predictor right here. I'm misspelling this right here. I'm just doing this off the fly. Just go ahead and post it like that. And if you want to leave a comment right here, feel free to do that. It'd be much appreciated right there. This is just something I've been working on for the last few years. I've been continuing to improve my content and everything like that for you guys, so that way I can produce the best quality content for weather reporting that I can. And I hope to get your support to continue doing this from now on. We'll keep you updated on everything here on the Pat's Path Predictor channel. Be sure to leave a like, and once again, be sure to subscribe to the channel if you are new. It helps us out, helps us get more people engaged with weather, and it helps me make more videos like these. Again, my birthday is 1 month away. It would be much appreciated to get to that 10,000 subscriber milestone by the time we get there. The goal of this channel is to get more people engaged with weather. And if you want to come hang out with us, or you want to just kind of see the behind the scenes of and the debates we have when it comes to this tropical cyclone that's going to be organizing and developing, be sure to join the Storms United Discord server. Link to that is right over there. And with that being said, have a wonderful day, guys. Stay safe.